Welcome back to our session where we were discussing how to develop different communication skills in persons with a hearing impairment. आप जो भी कोई प्रश्न पूछना चाहते हैं चर्चा के दौरान हमें कॉल कर सकते हैं हमारे टोल फ्री नंबर पे. द नंबर इज 1800112008 265111613. हमारा फैक्स नंबर है 265111609. Now we are continuing with our discussion, sir.
Yeah, no, we were talking of helping speech reading. Speech reading has to be we have to provide opportunities for a child to acquire speech reading systematically. This is very important. What does it mean really? First, we have to create appropriate conditions to help speech reading. Appropriate conditions means a number of things. One, for example, let's say we have to have proper lighting. Light must fall on the speaker's face, no, not behind. I mean, if a light comes from behind, a child can't see your face at all. That shouldn't happen. So whenever a person speaks, he must stand facing light so that his face is fully visible. Two, he must see that when he speaks, he doesn't cover his mouth in a number of ways, in any way. Maybe using a book or using a pen. No, all this is not useful at all. So a child should be able to see the face of the speaker well, and of course when the speaker also should be animated, should speak not only keeping a firm stiff face, but should be expressive. The face should be expressive. This is important. So this is one condition.
While interaction.
Because we are trying to talk to a deaf child, we want to encourage the deaf child to speech read. जैसा वो तो हमारा ऊँट देख के
फेशियल एक्सप्रेशन देख के गुस्सा आ रहा है या
और खाली मुंह नहीं देखता है, पूरा बॉडी को देखता है, पूरा फेस को देखता है. ये सब तो एनिमेटेड होना चाहिए. जैसा if a person sits like this and speaks like this, it's very difficult to speech read. No, it's not good at all. You be alive. So ये तो speech reading के लिए help करता है. But actually that's also something that I must mention. If you want a child to learn to speech read, we should speak normally. I must emphasize this because I know many teachers who are deaf also. They think they are trying to help the child by exaggerating their speech. This shouldn't happen, because a child has to learn to speech read normal speech. He goes into the bus stand and talks to people, goes to a railway station, talks to people, goes to the market, talks to people, and those people speak normally. And therefore the deaf child should also learn to speech read them. Therefore it is important that when you speak to a deaf child, you should speak normally. Maybe a little slow, but that's all. But not, like you don't go to a child and say, cow. No, that's not necessary. Not only is not necessary, it's wrong. You should speak naturally.
It should be in a normal manner while interacting with the hearing impaired.
Because the child has to learn to speech read normal people, other people. It's not only, because sometimes what happens, if you do this kind of stuff, if you go and you meet a deaf child and you ask, "Arey beta, tumhara naam kya hai?" and the child doesn't answer. Child looks at the mother or child looks at the teacher. And the teacher or the mother says, naam kya hai? That is not possible. A child goes to a shop and wants to buy baigan and asks, baigan ka daam kya hai? That baigan wala is not going to say, baigan 2 rupiya. No, he doesn't say that. So we want the child to understand normal speech. Therefore, when you speak, and if you want the child to learn, acquire good speech reading, speak normally. This is very important. This is one of the...
Means while interaction, we should take care of the rhythm and intonation.
No. Interaction is the next step. First thing is your speech itself. इसके लिए स्पेशल एफर्ट मत करना चाहिए. जैसा हर रोज हर बच्चे के साथ बात करते हैं वैसे ही बात करो, और इस बात को ज्यादा ज्यादा करने से देन योर पॉइंट कम्स, मोर द इंटरेक्शन बेटर द परफॉर्मेंस सीखने के लिए. Unfortunately, this is what happens even in schools. If the teachers just write single words on the blackboard and then teach, it's no use. They should write sentences, they should talk sentences all the time and talk normally. I don't mind even if they use signs. I would like anybody who uses signs to use signs and at the same time talk. Without talking, they shouldn't do anything with a deaf child. They should always be talking to a deaf child, because the more the exposure, the more chances the child has to learn.
And that will lead to good performance of the child.
Now, the exposure or even speech reading, for example, should be in meaningful contexts, meaningful situations. And this is true for teaching language also, I'll come to that later, but even speech reading. It should be meaningful. What you are saying should have, if you're saying, all right, kutta bhava kata hai, then show a kutta picture, have a kutta, take a kutta, then say kutta bhava karta hai. So then I think the child will understand. Suppose the child is playing with a ball. You can go and say, ball mujhe fenko, ball ko kick karo, kuch. Just sentences that you normally use. So you don't just say ball, ball, ball. No, that is not language. So you should be speaking normally and speaking plenty. Then the child has more exposure to speech reading. Therefore we'll acquire speech reading. This is important. Now, the context has to be established and use speech reading. Now the same thing is true with sign language also. Even whether you use sign language or spoken language, what is important is find more and more opportunities for using signs. Find more and more opportunities for using language. Many times, when I talk to the parents, I say, look, you should go and talk plenty to your child. Or even teachers, I keep saying to teachers, talk to the children. Why do you just sign? Don't say, no, speak to them. Even when, I'm not against signs, but even when you sign, speak. Speak and sign, so the child can use both, can combine both. Please note, I'm not talking again like total communication. When you speak, your spoken language will be different, your sign language will be different. Fine. But they should go together. Not the same, but go together. Like people who read and write, speak and write, it's quite possible. They can do different grammars, but they should happen together. This is important. Now, when we speak more and more to a child, the child is exposed to more language. When I tell the parents, go and speak to your child, first the parents say, हाँ हम हमेशा बोलते रहते हैं. So I've asked them, क्या बोलते हो? हाँ हर चीज़ बोलता हूँ. क्या बोलते हो? नहीं मैं बोलता हूँ आओ, खाओ, जाओ. That's not enough. After all, supposing a child is 6 years old or 7 years old, आओ जाओ is not enough. There is more language that has to be done. So, what do they talk about? The problem is many times parents or even teachers don't know what to talk to a deaf child. Of course, it becomes difficult because the deaf child doesn't respond, doesn't reply. So actually in many classes I have told my students, go and talk to a chair for 5 minutes. जैसे कुर्सी उधर रख दो, उसके साथ बात करो, 5 मिनट इसके साथ बात करना चाहिए. It's not easy, क्योंकि चेयर तो नहीं रिस्पॉन्ड करता है, वो इधर बैठा है बस. Then I tell them, एक डेफ बच्चा के साथ बात करना इतना ही मुश्किल है, वैसे तो थोड़ा ज्यादा मुश्किल है. क्यों? चेयर तो भागता नहीं, बच्चा तो भागेगा. So you need to learn to speak to a child without waiting for a response, without waiting for a reply or any response. So then what do they say? First, there is no dearth or no limit to the kinds of things you can say to a child. It's not rationed. Let's say, supposing you are with a child, maybe going to a market with a child. Talk about going to the market, talk about the bus, talk about the people in the bus, talk about the ticket you are buying, talk about the money you have paid for the ticket, talk about the change that the conductor has given, talk about the horn, talk about the traffic. So much to talk about.
मतलब बच्चे के वातावरण में जो भी चीजें हैं उनके बारे में बताना.
वातावरण में जो भी चीज है, चीज के बारे में प्रॉब्लम है. चीज इज नॉट लिस्टिंग, लिस्ट करना नहीं है. वातावरण में जो होता है उसके बारे में बात कर सकते हैं. बच्चा जो चीज जो करता है उसके बारे में बात करो. जैसा बच्चा इस having difficulty standing, से नहीं खड़े होना मुश्किल है, ऐसे करो, इधर मामा के साथ बैठो, हम पूछेंगे, हम मांगेंगे मामा को थोड़ा जगह दे दो, हमारा बच्चा बैठेगा. कुछ बोलो. बोलने के लिए तो बहुत चीज है. बगैर क्यों करते हो उसको? You know, whatever the child does, talk about it. Whatever you do in front of the child, talk about it. जैसा हम रोटी बना रहे हैं और रोटी बनाने के बारे में बात करो. और जो जितना रोटी हम 4 आदमी है, 4 आदमी के जितना रोटी चाहिए हम बात करो. और पापा के लिए बड़ा रोटी है और मेरा छोटा बच्चों के लिए छोटा रोटी. कुछ बात करो. बात करने के लिए तो बहुत सारे चीज है, बट हम उसको आइडेंटिफाई करना चाहिए. वी शुड बी अवेयर दैट ये चीज के बारे में हम बात कर सकते हैं. और ये भी है, जब हम बात करते रहते हैं, हम रेस्पॉन्स को वेट करना ना चाहिए, क्योंकि रेस्पॉन्स आसान से नहीं आएगा. So I also say, don't even ask questions. हम ये नहीं पूछना चाहिए, ये क्या है बेटा, ये बोलो ये क्या है, और ये कौन है देखो. नहीं, बेटा को बोलना नहीं पसंद है, नहीं बोलेगा. He chooses, he decides, मैं बोलता हूँ या नहीं बोलता हूँ, ये मौसी मुझे अच्छा लगता है, ये मौसी अच्छा नहीं लगता है, कुछ भी हो. बट हम क्या करते हैं, नहीं मौसी आया है, मौसी को क्या किस करो. बच्चा को ये मौसी अच्छा नहीं लगता है, छोड़ो, क्यों करना है. या द अदर थिंग वी डू, अंकल आया है, डांस करो. अरे हमारा बच्चा क्या सर्कस का एनिमल है, डांस करे. जब आप चाहते हैं तब डांस करे. ये क्या, जब वो चाहता है वो डांस करेगा. He has to feel like it. It has to come from inside. So forcing a child to respond, forcing a child to do anything is wrong. It's not necessary. मगर क्या करें? You keep providing. Supposing you ask a question for some reason. If the child doesn't answer, हम उसको आंसर दे दे. जैसे मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है, कोई बच्चा था, ये हियरिंग चिल्ड्रन, ऐसे बच्चा तुम्हारा नाम क्या है, नहीं बोलेगा. Then what do? Then I say, मैं सोचता हूँ, ठहरो, मेरा शक है तुम्हारा नाम है गोपाल या something. Very often what I do, I use a girl's name also. Thought the child laughs and says, हाँ मैं क्या थोड़ी गर्ल हूँ, मैं बॉय हूँ. तब तो स्पीच तो आ गया, मुझे रिस्पॉन्स आ गया. So
we have to wait for the response of the child.
We can't demand a response. But very important point you said, yes, when the child does respond, reinforce it. You know, it's almost like clapping hands when the child responds. And then when the child tries to speak, he is speaking, when the child tries to speak, you should show him that you are happy that the child spoke. But maybe when the child speaks, understand him. अरे मैं तो speech तो ठीक नहीं है. You know, we can't understand. True. Many times it is true. But what you should do, guess the answer. Guess what the child is saying. And very often when a child speaks, the context tells you the answer, tells you, you know what the child is asking. You know what the child is perhaps wants to say. It's like a child who is with the mother and looks at a chocolate in a shop. The child may say, Toto, Toto. The mother can easily say, क्या chocolate चाहते हो? क्योंकि he sees the chocolate तो देख रहा है और क्या what else would the child be saying?
मतलब उसकी लैंग्वेज से जो वो बोलना चाह रहा है या इशारे से कुछ भी उसका पता चल जाता है कि बच्चा किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बात कर रहा है.
Then, but if the mother acts like she has understood, जैसा माँ कुछ करता है, बच्चा देखता है, हाँ मेरा माँ ने मैं जो कहा उसको समझ गया. So it encourages the child to speak more. हाँ मैं फिर भी बोल सकता हूँ. One interesting example maybe I'll tell you. It's a nice story. I had a classmate who was studying to become a teacher of the deaf. Her parents, father and mother, were both deaf. And so when these people lived in a far-off village, this is in America, about 400 acres of land, and then there in the middle of that 400 acres there's this home, and the mother and father, their children were there. And till the child went to school, my friend also, she didn't learn any speech because the parents were only signing to the children, and my friend learned only signs first 5 years. After that, when she went to school, she picked up speech from the children. Now that's one. But this mother was signing all the time. But then an interesting experience happened. What? They had a dog. Everybody had gone away somewhere. The mother was standing at the door. The dog ran away, started running. And what does the mother do? The mother started waving. Said, ah. The dog didn't turn back, didn't see, kept running. Then the mother had no choice. Therefore the mother shouted. Kuch, I don't know what the name, let's say the name of the dog was Tommy. Whatever, it was something else many long years ago. Now, the mother said, Tommy. He just spoke. It's not very clear. But what happened? The dog stopped and looked back. And she said, come back. The dog came back. Now the mother said, see what happened. The dog understood my speech. The dog understood what I said. Therefore, I can speak. And believe it or not, that lady started speaking slowly, gradually, more and more. So it's important to provide reinforcement to our child.
ये एक kind का reinforcement हो गया कि उसकी बात सुनी और वो मतलब encourage हुई आगे बोलने के लिए.
उसका encouragement क्यों आया? वो देख अरे मैं जो कहा कैसे भी कहा उसको वो समझ गया
और मान लिया.
So same thing, जब हमारा लड़का बोल रहा है, हम कुछ करें जैसा हम उसको अंडरस्टैंड किया, तब हमारा लड़का को हम एक दिखा रहे हैं कि उसका बात अच्छा था, इसके लिए उसको और ज़्यादा बोलने के लिए प्रोत्साहित किया. ये करना चाहिए. दिस इज व्हेन अ चाइल्ड वी डोंट डिमांड स्पीच. ऐसे नहीं है बॉल बोलो बॉल या फैन फैन फैन, नहीं 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 नहीं, इसमें फायदा नहीं है. फैन के बारे में आप बात करो, 100 टाइम्स फैन के बारे में बात करो, मगर बच्चों को फैन फैन बता मत फोर्स करो. मगर आप 100 बार फैन के बारे में बात करने से बच्चा भी फैन कहेगा. जब बच्चा फैन कहता है उसको रीइंफोर्स करो, उसको ऐसा नहीं है बेस्ट बचा फैन बोल दिया, नहीं ऐसा नहीं, हाँ बेटा फैन फैन चल रहा है, थोड़ा तेज नहीं चल रहा है, चलता रहे बस, कुछ बात ज्यादा।
जैसे ही रिक्वायर्ड रिस्पांस दिया चाइल्ड ने तो हमें उसे इमीडिएटली रिवॉर्ड देना चाहिए,
रिवॉर्ड जैसा नहीं पेपरमेंट का पैसा दो, रिवॉर्ड तो है कंटिन्यूइंग कम्युनिकेशन, कंटिन्यूइंग लैंग्वेज। और जैसा चॉकलेट भी दो उसमें भी फायदा है, बट इससे ज्यादा फायदा कम्युनिकेशन को एनकरेज करें, बढ़ाएं, आगे बढ़ाएं। दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। नाउ the other thing that we should do when we are speaking or signing, हम हमारा भाषा को चेंज करते रहना, वर्ड्स को चेंज करना। क्यों? कभी कभी क्या होता है, हम जो वर्ड्स यूज करते हैं वो समझना मुश्किल हो जाता है बच्चों को, एक बात। दूसरी बात है, हम जब अलग अलग वर्ड्स यूज करते हैं, भाषा को चेंज करके यूज करते हैं, हमारा लड़का का भाषा भी कलरफुल हो जाता है। I don't know the Hindi equivalents, but supposing I say, are you afraid? Do you have fear? Did I frighten you? ये अलग अलग शब्द, but then all these words mean the same thing. But the child will understand, will learn now the different words. Otherwise, our language will become mechanical. हर टाइम एक ही वर्ड यूज करें, it becomes mechanical. Even a simple example, तुम्हारा बहन को बुलाओ या मीरा को बुलाओ और दीदी को बुलाओ, तीन वर्ड हो गए ना। लेट द चाइल्ड अंडरस्टैंड, बहन और मीरा और बहन दीदी वो तीनों एक ही है। द चाइल्ड शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट,
बट द वे इज डिफरेंट। एक चीज को मतलब बुलाने का या बोलने का तरीका अलग है, पर है एक ही चीज।
हाँ, मगर वो लड़का को भी ये समझना चाहिए, वो भी कोई वर्ड यूज करे इस आदमी को दिखाने के लिए, बुलाने के लिए। दीदी भी बुला सकते हैं, मीरा भी बुला सकते हैं, बहन भी कह सकते हैं। I mean, our language should be colorful. जैसा हमारा spoken language है, our language is very colorful. But sometimes what happens, हम जब हमारे बच्चों को सिखाते हैं, एक ही शब्द सिखाते हैं, कलर जाता है। हमारा स्कूल्स में ये प्रॉब्लम बहुत सारे होता है। This shouldn't happen. Now, children should realize the वर्सेटैलिटी ऑफ लैंग्वेज। भाषा में इतना क्या है, वर्सेटैलिटी को क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में, वो तो हम बताना चाहिए। दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट। सो मोर एंड मोर लैंग्वेज, यूजिंग सिनोनिम्स, यूजिंग ऑल्टरनेट सेंटेंसेस। जैसे इवन इफ यू आस्क अ क्वेश्चन, उम्र क्या है बेटा, उम्र ही डजंट अंडरस्टैंड। तुम क्या 12 साल वाले हो या कुछ, तुमसे कौन बड़ा है या कौन छोटा है, whatever. But by this you come back to उम्र।
Different alternatives we can use.
You provide alternative words, अलग अलग words use करें। This is one. Now, this is the way you help a child receive well. Now, one of the other reception is reading. रीडिंग को सिखाना चाहिए। विथ अ डेफ चाइल्ड, आई बिलीव वी शुड टीच रीडिंग एज सून एज पॉसिबल। और रीडिंग सिखाने के लिए अलग अलग तरीका है, या फॉर्मल सिस्टमैटिक स्ट्रक्चरल मेथड भी हो सकता है, या नेचुरल मेथड भी हो सकता है। जो आई मीन इट डिपेंड्स, टीचर को जो पसंद है वो उसको यूज करो, क्योंकि एक्सपीरियंस है, रिसर्च क्या बताता है, कोई मेथड यूज करो, इफ यू डू इट वेल, सक्सेस इज पॉसिबल। ऐसा नहीं है ये बेटर मेथड वो बेटर मेथड, बहुत सारे टाइम ये भी अच्छा वाला है, ये भी अच्छा है। आपको जो खुशी है, आपको जो अच्छा लगता है वो यूज करो, ठीक है। नाउ for example, I believe in the natural method. मैंने पेरेंट्स को बताया, अरे इधर तो हमारा आपका लड़का 3 साल का लड़का है, please ask the grandmother to write a letter to your grandson, to her grandson. Because and let the grandmother write the address of the grandson on the postcard. So the child goes and looks at the mail, looks at the postcard. मेरा नाम है, मेरा है. So he'll come and say, हाँ देखो मेरा है. He says, हाँ तुम्हारा है. कौन लिखा है देखो. किसने लिखा है? grandma ने लिखा है. ठीक है. The child may not read what he says. Then you can say, नहीं grandma ने लिखा है, वो परसों आएगा, आपके लिए कुछ लाएगा, कुछ बताओ. So the child is encouraged to read. क्यों? इसका पता है, वो उसका खुद, his own letter. So let him read. Why? You know, there are a number of ways in which you encourage reading. Most importantly, give storybooks. Read storybooks with him. And read along with him. So keep the book and say, hey देखो बेटा ये क्या कर रहा है, इधर ये कर रहा है, whatever. So while you read, the child looks at it. After some days, even if you are not there, the child will open the book and keep reading. You should encourage that. You should provide books for the child.
We should encourage the child's participation.
Participation and his own reading. The child should learn to enjoy reading. ऐसा ये कभी मत होना चाहिए कि रीडिंग एक मुश्किल काम हो जाए. We should not make it difficult job.
It should be very interesting for the child.
It should be interesting. The child should enjoy it. This is true about any activity. But the child should enjoy it. The child should, you know. But the advantage with reading is, actually for many of our deaf children, they don't learn to read enough. Many times we don't even make the children read their own textbooks. But a good child likes to read books for pleasure. I know one deaf boy who would come to a circulating library, take a book, and he would come on a cycle, pick up the book, but he would not cycle back home. He would open the book in the library, push the cycle and go on reading like that. That's how much he enjoyed reading. That's a deaf boy with a very profound hearing loss. But क्या हुआ था? उसका pleasure in reading अच्छा था. Now that boy is in America getting doctorates, doing a doctorate in some subject, but then he is working very well. He has got master's degree in mathematics and master's degree in computer science and working for a doctorate. कैसा हुआ? That लड़का, even as a child, learned to enjoy reading. He learned very good language. ये तो बहुत important है. This is why receptive language, through listening, through speech reading, through sign language, through reading, receptive language should be encouraged. Expressive language also should be encouraged. We have to teach. We have to create opportunities. Jaiса opportunities for the child to interact, opportunities for the child to write, to speak. So how do we do this? Sing songs, sing nursery rhymes. While you sing, let the child dance, and maybe the child can also clap hands while you sing nursery rhymes. I can't tell any, I don't know of any Hindi nursery rhymes, but then
there can be different ways for the expressing.
No, this is important. The child should learn speech is fun. And how is speech fun? When the child sings songs. Like Ba Ba Black Sheep. Have you any word? Why not? मुझे हिंदी तो नर्सरी राइम नहीं आता है, so I'm not going to give an example, but आपको मालूम है तो कोई एग्जाम्पल दे दीजिए कि नर्सरी राइम तो होना चाहिए.
जैसे हम हिंदी में पोएम होती है छोटे बच्चों को, मछली जल की रानी है.
Right, why not? So when you do that, the child will clap hands, the child can dance, you know.
Because he is enjoying that actually.
He is enjoying that. You dance along with the child, then the child will enjoy it more. And now you tell stories. The more stories you tell, the child will understand. I mean, this is why I said, when parents come and ask me, we have nothing to talk to the child. क्या बोले उसको, वो तो नहीं सुनता है. अरे बोलने के लिए इतना चीज है, बोलो. क्या कहानी कहो. कहानी इंडिया में इतना कमा. वैसे कहानी मीन्स इज नॉट नेसेसरी दैट यू टेल द होल रामायण. नहीं नहीं, रामायण भी अच्छा कहानी है, और उसको छोटा छोटा करके भी हम बोल सकते हैं. बट इवन इफ इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल स्टोरी, लाइक जैसा एग्जाम्पल आई गिव, मैंने उधर खड़ा था, एक कुत्ता आया, मैंने एक स्टोन को लेके, पत्थर को लेके फेंका, कुत्ता भाग गया. इट्स अ गुड स्टोरी, व्हाई नॉट? I can act out the story here, I can, you know. So it's a story. So batao, tell the story, act it out. Because mind you, when you are acting out a story, you are giving the child a context. जो चीज है, वो एक्सपीरियंस है, वो एक्सपीरियंस के साथ ही हम भाषा दे रहे हैं, तब ये लड़का हमारा उसका भाषा और एक्सपीरियंस को मिला के भाषा समझेगा, और वो भी वैसा यूज करने के लिए कोशिश करेगा. So this is important. So tell stories, act out stories, make dramas, sing songs,
different rhymes.
Different rhymes are good. बहुत सारे चीज है. So this must be done, because you see, while you are doing all this, hopefully all of this is pleasurable. The child will enjoy it. The more the child enjoys, the more you can achieve. And this is the most important thing. Whatever you do with the child must enjoy it. And hopefully you will also enjoy it. Because actually when the child starts using speech, when the child starts using language, then you are happy, you are reinforced. And remember, changes come in very small steps. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम 2 दिन ऐसा कर दें और तीसरा दिन वो बात कर देगा. नहीं नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. ये वेरी स्लो चीज़ है. हमारा टीचिंग लैंग्वेज और टीचिंग स्पीच इज अ वेरी स्लो अफेयर. मगर ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं दिखता. नहीं नहीं, छोटा छोटा इम्प्रूवमेंट होगा. मेरा एक जापानीज फ्रेंड था, वो अमेरिका में रहता है. एक दिन मैंने देखा वो जापानीज फ्रेंड को बाहर बैठा था. मैंने कहा, याचको सान क्या कर रहे हो? उन्होंने कहा, मैं ये प्लांट क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में? पौधा. हाँ, पौधा ग्रो करने को देख रहा हूँ. ये जैसे ग्रो कर रहा है उसको देख रहा हूँ. अरे ये एक दिन में क्या ग्रो करेगा? मैंने कल भी मैं देखा था, आज भी देख रहा हूँ, अभी भी देख रहा हूँ. जैसा मैं देख रहा हूँ वो तो इज ग्रोइंग. मगर मेरा आंखें नहीं देख सकता है, मेरा मन तो देखता है उसको. इज ग्रोइंग.
Every little progress is adding up to it.
बहुत छोटा 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 इम्प्रूवमेंट होगा. हम उस इम्प्रूवमेंट को देख के हम खुशी पड़ना चाहिए. This is the important thing. So actually when you work hard, when you work with a child, exposing the child to language, exposing the child to speech, exposing the child to writing, encouraging the child to write, let the child draw pictures and then draw. Let the child write, and let the child draw a picture and say, ये हाथी सो रहा है. Very good. Maybe you write first, हाथी सो रहा है, you write in your language. But दिखाओ, मैंने इधर लिखा हूँ हाथी सो रहा है. So the child will slowly understand more and more, and therefore the child's language will develop, communication will develop. But the most important thing, I repeat, is that all this should be done in a happy, pleasant manner. जैसे schools का में भी, the teachers must do things like this. Whatever school syllabus they have, they can dramatize that syllabus. They can find songs for that syllabus. Talking about rains, there are plenty of songs about rain. Talking even scientific experiments can be made, and then so the children will understand. So if the learning situation is made pleasurable, it is fine for better for the child, it's better for you also. Because as I said, those small changes, if you can observe those small changes, you will really learn to enjoy your own work.
तो सर आपने बताया कि हमें हर एक्टिविटी वी शुड बी एक्टिविटी डन इन अ सच अ वे कि द चाइल्ड एंजॉयज इट एंड लर्न्स मोर एंड मोर फ्रॉम इट.
नॉट ओनली चाइल्ड, आप भी एंजॉय करना पड़ता है.
वी आर आल्सो
हम भी
इंटरैक्टिंग
एंजॉय
विद
करना
द चाइल्ड.
Instead of making it hard work, that shouldn't happen. So I'll say, when you want to try and provide communication, keep it enjoyable, provide more and more opportunities, and provide appropriate reinforcement, and when that happens, you will see success. But the success may be small, but it will be there. Good luck.
थैंक यू सर फॉर योर सो मच सिग्निफिकेंट एंड रेलिवेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन. समय की कमी होने के कारण हमें अपना सेशन यहीं ख़त्म करना है. तो जैसा कि आज आपने बताया कि हियरिंग लॉस कैन बी एक्वायर्ड और डेवलपमेंटल डिपेंडिंग ऑन द लेवल ऑफ द चाइल्ड, एंड उसका जल्दी अर्ली आइडेंटिफिकेशन करेंगे, हम असेसमेंट करेंगे और इवैल्यूएशन करने के बाद हम उसको डिफरेंट रेमेडियल मेजर्स हम यूज़ करते हैं और उनका ध्यान रखना चाहिए. जैसे कि हम साइन लैंग्वेज यूज़ कर सकते हैं, स्पीच रीडिंग यूज़ कर सकते हैं, ऑडिटरी ट्रेनिंग दे सकते हैं. तो थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर योर.
एक बात तो हम ऐड कर देता हूँ, जैसे हम सब तो अर्ली आइडेंटिफिकेशन को एम्फोसाइज किया, वो तो सच, मगर ये बात है जब फॉर एनी रीजन अर्ली आइडेंटिफिकेशन नहीं हो पाए तब भी हम निराशा होने के लिए जगह नहीं है. लेट आइडेंटिफिकेशन के बाद भी हम बहुत सारे हेल्प कर सकते हैं. मे बी नॉट एजुकेशनल अचीवमेंट बट वोकेशनल अचीवमेंट, सोशल अचीवमेंट, कम्युनिकेशन भी हम दे सकते हैं. स्पेशली इफ यू आर एक्सेप्टिंग साइन लैंग्वेज, इवन लेट इन ग्रोन अप चिल्ड्रन, if you identify late, like sometimes it happens in a village, you identify a child only late. But तब भी हम निराश होने की जरूरत नहीं है. It's not necessary to throw up our hands and say लेट हो गया क्या करें. नहीं, लेट होने के बाद भी बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं.
जी, थैंक यू सो मच सर. दिस इज द क्लोजिंग ऑफ आवर सेशन. थैंक यू.
Thank you very much. Thank you.